Tech Squares, as I said, started in 1967. It started out just doing simple beginner dancing and pretty quickly changed into modern Western square dancing. Dennis Marsh was the caller, and Dennis Marsh was the caller who was there when I first started my lessons in '74. At some point, we changed callers to Don Beck, and Don also taught me a lot about calling. I took a caller's course from him, and now we have a caller named Ted Lizotte. I don't remember how big we were back in '74 and the up to 1980, but I have a sense it was big. 8 squares, 10 squares. We still dance in some of those same rooms, and we've had our ups and downs, and we can dance 6 to 8 squares today. Back then we had what they called a crash course, where they would teach modern Western square dancing in 8 to 12 weeks of lessons. We do a similar thing now. We teach lessons every fall and every spring. We hope to get undergraduates in. Today it's offered as physical education. It counts as credit for physical education. And every freshman needs 1 year of physical education. So get it out of your way, take the square dance lessons is a pretty easy way. And then the next semester, just keep coming and dancing, and that counts too. So we usually friends bring friends. We put on some demos and performances to try to get people to come. And there's certainly announcements, but there's a million activities for MIT undergraduates. The age range right now is not as young as you might expect. You would like to think it would be all MIT undergraduates in a pretty young club, but there are hangers-on like me. I'm 57, I guess, and I've been going pretty much every week since '74. In the 60s and 70s, there were many college clubs, some of them offshoots from the outing clubs. And in fact, one of the founders from MIT used to dance down in the Baltimore area. This would be Veronica McClure, and then came up to Boston and discovered and helped found Tech Squares because she wanted to get square dancing going like she had known it. Don Beck came out of the outing club thing also. So in the early days when I was at Tech, I remembered there was Bear Squares at Brown University. Clearly there was some stuff down in the DC and Baltimore area. Rutgers Promenaders had a club, Rice University. Later, one of our alums, John Sobalski, and some other dancers started Stanford Quads at Stanford University, modeled after Tech Squares. Today, unfortunately, there is very little college-aged square dancing. Maybe MIT might be the only college that has a square dance club on campus that meets regularly and is doing modern Western square dancing. And there's certain efforts about to try to get more people doing it and more colleges to do it, and there's financial assistance through Color Lab, but so far it's a pretty tough row to hoe. Yeah. Tech Squares in its 13-week course spends about 8 weeks teaching the mainstream level and then 5 weeks teaching the plus level. Being a Color Lab member, these are more properly called dance programs because level implies that one is better than the other as you, quote, move up or move on. I'll probably slip up and call them levels because that's what we called them back then, and I'm kind of an old person like that. And I don't think the idea of calling them programs has really caught on and convinced everybody to not think of one person as being better because they've gone on to advanced or something. I would say half the dancing in the United States is at the mainstream dance program and the other half is at the plus dance program. In the world, and Color Lab recommends that were you to learn mainstream square dancing, which is a vocabulary of about 69 movements, that you should take about 28 weeks to learn that, of about 2 hours a week lessons. So MIT doing it in 8 weeks is very fast. We have younger people. We are used to teaching it like that, and we insert a lot of so-called angels, experienced dancers in each square, so there would be maybe only 3 or 4 learners in a square. And it's not for everyone. There's some young people and some older people who just can't learn it that fast, and they either retake it or they stop at mainstream or something. And the dancers don't graduate after 13 weeks as proficient plus dancers, but their learning curve is very good. And as long as they're on an upward trend, in another couple of weeks, they'll be doing pretty good. And they seem to enjoy it. And another advantage is you can figure out whether you like this activity or not with not much investment. So.